slavery, segregation, redlining, all of that. Don't get in my comments ever again trying to debate me, argue me about how we need to take accountability as a people, woody woo, all this and that. First, I want America to take accountability for the crimes that was committed against black people on American soil. Give my people reparations right now. America, you have a race problem. And today we're going to get to the bottom of it. I came across this video stating the following: are Trump voters racist? I like to think so, or at least that's a trend amongst those people. Let's go get to the bottom of this, man. Let's figure it out. Are Trump voters racist?
Historic division over race remains at the heart of so many conflicts we see today.
400 years ago, the first slave ships arrived. A civil war that killed 600,000 people fought over the right to own other human beings. Then, a century of segregation.
He's looking for progress. He wants to move forward in the American mainstream. Segregation holds him back.
Lynchings, redlining, banks drawing literal red lines around black neighborhoods.
And then boom, right? I made a video. Did I have people underneath the video that I made about the self-hating black man, Omir Odom, stating how black people are, this and that. Oh, they're loud. They're criminals. They're dirty. All kinds of things. These are the things that contribute to low-income black communities where loud, rambunctious behavior, violent crime in general, and unclean streets stem from. It stems from all of these things: slavery, segregation, redlining, all of that. Don't get in my comments ever again trying to debate me, argue me about how we need to take accountability as a people, woody woo, all this and that. First, I want America to take accountability for the crimes that was committed against black people on American soil. Give my people reparations right now. Otherwise, I don't want to hear about how black people are loud and violent. Don't want to hear it ever again.
All inside living memory. And according to half the country, that history never ended. It just changed clothes. And in 2016, they'll tell you it did something it never done before. It elected a president, Donald J. Trump.
We will make America great again.
That's the story. You've heard it 1,000 times. But the question is it true? If you watch this channel, you know I've made a few videos about Trump already. Why people voted for him, whether his movement survives, and what happens in 2028.
Should we check those out? Let me know.
And under every single one, the same comments. Vinay, you haven't talked about race. Vinay, Trump is a racist. Vinay, his voters are racist too. So fine, as so many of you have asked, let's break it down. Are Trump voters racist? Are the tens of millions of people who voted for him cut from the same segregated cloth? Oh, and one ground rule. This video is about Trump voters, not about whether Trump himself is racist.
I am the least racist person that you have ever met.
That's a different
That he ever met. He's up there with me though.
question. The history of racism in America is real, and nobody serious denies it. The question is whether it explains 80 million votes. That's the accusation, and that's what we're going to test. Let's dive in.
Are you suggesting that the entire Trump vote was racist and by racists?
I think yes.
I think they're dumb. I think Trump voters are dumb. I think Trump voters is racist. I think Trump voters are homophobic. I think Trump voters are misogynistic. I think Trump voters are even man haters. I think Trump voters don't even like anybody. But at that point, I'm starting to diminish their stupidity and their evil nature by saying that they don't like anybody. So we're going to leave it there. They're just overall bigots. And they're so bigoted that they almost start to, be bigots towards themselves. Go look at the folk over at Daily Wire.
I surveyed these people. I focus grouped them. And they are really, really tired of being accused of either racism or sexism because they voted for Donald Trump.
But first, we have a problem. The word. Racist is doing an enormous amount of work in this argument, and nobody in the comments has agreed on what it means. So let's fix that physically with this board. And in this board, I'm going to go from most racist to least racist to understand the question, are Trump voters actually racist? So let's start with card 1.
Open racism.
Card 1 is open racism, the belief that some races are superior to others. Klan robes, neo-Nazi marches, everyone agrees that this is racism. Card 2 is animus. It's not a grand ideology, but it's just hostility, like at Little Rock High School in the 1950s. These people have negative feelings about others because of their race. Card 3 is resentment.
Let's pause real quick. We're intellectuals and we're students of the game. We're always trying to learn. I'm unfamiliar with the word, was it amist? Not amist.
Is animus.
Animus. We're going to look that up. I never heard that word before. Animus. Come on. A strong feeling of dislike, hostility, or ill will towards someone or something. All right. Let's go.
It's not. Card 3 is resentment. It's no stated hostility at all, but opposition to efforts to fix racial inequality built on beliefs like other groups work their way up, why the special treatment? Remember this card, it's about to become the most important object of this video. Card 4 is defining it as indifference. No negative feelings toward anyone, but not especially bothered by racism either. If the prices of gas or groceries is right...
Okay, I thought it was paused, my fault, y'all.
A racist joke at a rally is someone else's problem. And card 5 is egalitarian or equality. It actively believes in equal treatment full stop, that people should be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. So
already I have a problem with that last one. Less racist doesn't mean not racist. You know, less racist just means it's racist but not as much as the other one. Putting Martin Luther King's picture is actually kind of crazy here to me. And the statement of we should judge people off their character isn't racist at all. So putting this at less racist is still putting it on the racist spectrum, and I have a problem with that.
People should be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. So if you see this board, it goes from most racist to, I would say, less racist or not racist at all. It goes from open racism...
Not racist at all. I feel like you should just have like a not racist thing, but sure.
Animus, resentment, indifference to egalitarian. Now here's the trick that explains my entire comment section. When one person insists Trump voters are racist and another insists they're not, they're usually not disagreeing about the voters, they're disagreeing about where on this board the word racist stops. Some people draw the line after card 1. Others draw it all the way past card 4. Now, keep this board in your mind. At the end, we're going to come back to it and we're going to place the actual evidence on it card by card. Just a quick one. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. Come
on, I'm ready.
How is it racist? If you don't like this country, get out. Leave. That's all he said. He didn't use any names.
Start with the evidence that makes half the people in my comments so confident. After 2016, political scientists ran autopsies on the election. The popular theory? Economic anxiety. But that kept failing. At the individual level, losing your job or feeling poor barely predicted a Trump vote. So what did? Since the 1980s, surveys have used something called the racial resentment scale. 4 statements you agree or disagree with, like Irish, Italian, Jewish, and many other minorities overcame prejudice and worked their way up. Blacks should do the same without any special favors, agree strongly, or all the way to disagree strongly. So notice that these 4 questions, first really published by Kinders and Saunders in this book, are actually a machine for measuring this card of resentment. So in 2016, your score...
Okay, pause. Okay, let's read this thing first. I just feel like chatting. This is a topic I feel very strongly about. Irish, Italians, Jewish, and many other minorities overcame prejudice and worked their way up. Blacks should do the same without any special favors. I don't like when people call black people blacks, but let's start here. Irish, Italians, and Jewish people all benefit from what, especially in modern day America? White supremacy. Historically, have they? Not technically, but at some point they started being included in that. Black people have never been included from that. That's like a very key factor into why this kind of thing just shouldn't. It's not like a thing you should agree with, but as well as what systems are still in place keeping black people down, right? We're against giving black people special favors, but we're also not dismantling those obstacles that are put forth in front of black people that aren't still in front of Irish, Italians, or Jewish people. You could even group into a certain degree Latino people kind of suffer from the same parts and bits and pieces of white supremacy as black people do in certain cases. The only difference between black people and Hispanics, I feel like, depending on what you're talking about, is the fact that a lot of Latino people kind of be trying to, get in good with, the white folk. And I can't really speak much to that, and I won't because I'm not Hispanic and I don't want to speak for any one community, but that's kind of a thing that I've kind of picked up.
For measuring this card of resentment. So, in 2016, your score on it predicted Trump support better than almost...
Now, whether I believe this is racist, like where would I put this on the scale of
actually
racist or less racist?
A machine for measuring...
I would put it here. I put it in anemic. Excuse me. I'm very new to this word still. I put it right under here in this category because it's not open racism. I'm sure there's open racists who will share this same sentiment on this first section right here. But it's not outwardly stated. And I wouldn't put it in resentment either. I wouldn't be mad at that, but it definitely goes in between here, but definitely under here. Certainly.
During this card of resentment. So, in 2016, your score on it predicted Trump support better than almost anything else. One major study found that racial and gender attitudes explained Trump voting far better than economic dissatisfaction. The definitive academic book on 2016 found the link between racial attitudes and vote choice was stronger that year than in any other modern election. A third study tracking the same voters over time found
Trump voters driven by fear of losing status, not economic anxiety, study finds. Absolutely, bro. It's definitely not the case that they're worried about the economy. Because if you go check the numbers and the statistics, Republicans versus Democrats. Democrats run the economy way better than Republicans do. Even now, Joe Biden's economy was a little bit better than Donald Trump's current economy right now. As a matter of fact, a lot of people hate it. Yeah, it was never about the economy. That was a lie, or they're freaking stupid and brainwashed and just were sheep people, just using the same talking points as other people. So it wasn't ever the economy that they were concerned about. It was always about stature in the social market or whatever that white people were concerned about. They want to be superior to people still, right? They want to be on top, especially straight white men. They don't want to lose their position in the social hierarchy in America.
The driver wasn't personal hardship, it was the feeling of a group losing its place in line. Note, the researchers use a specific word. They use the word activation, not conversion. The attitudes were already in the electorate,
Right.
The campaign switched them on.
You see all these immigrant groups, people coming in from other countries.
Right. These robots already ready to destroy. You just put the battery in their back. You just turn the little Energizer bunny on inside of them, bro. They're always gonna beat the drum.
They get tons of assistance, but what about the people who live here, who are, American citizens, have been here all our lives? It's almost like we don't matter enough. Maybe our votes don't matter enough.
So is that case closed and card 3 lights up and the people who commented that Trump voters are racist win? Well, hold on a second, because there's a mathematical problem with everything I just said.
I'm a Democrat, but I actually voted for Trump.
I voted for Donald Trump. I had voted for Obama in the 2 previous elections.
I always voted for liberals, but I voted for Donald Trump.
Those studies measured correlation, which attitudes line up with which votes across the whole electorate. But elections aren't decided by the whole electorate. They're decided by the people who switch.
And are you voting for Donald Trump? Yeah, as of this moment, yeah. I'd be voting for Donald Trump.
Think of a restaurant. Survey everyone eating there and you learn who your typical customer is. But if business suddenly booms, the typical customer can't explain it. You need the new customers. A Stanford team asked exactly that about 2016. Not who were Trump's voters, but who were his new voters, the ones that actually got him the presidency. The answer breaks the simple story. Trump's gains came disproportionately from this side of the board, from white voters with moderate racial attitudes. The high scorers on card 3 were mostly voting Republican anyway. The needle was moved by people sitting around cards 4 and cards 5. And this next point should bother this simple story even more. By most estimates, 6 to 9 million Trump voters in 2016 actually voted for Barack Obama. Some voted for Obama twice, then switched to Trump.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Whole Midwestern counties went Obama, Obama, Trump. Whatever those people were doing, won't vote for someone who doesn't look like them, doesn't survive contact with their own voting history. And one more twist. Researchers tracking the same white Americans across the Trump years found express prejudice didn't rise. It fell on measure after measure. So the picture's blurry, but then 2024 happened and the picture wasn't blurry anymore, it broke.
Donald Trump has put together by far the most diverse coalition for the Republican Party since the 1980s. 1 in 3 ethnic minority American voters for Donald Trump yesterday, something that many people would have found incredible.
Whatever your theory of Trump voters, it has to explain 2024. Starr County, Texas, on the border, 97% Hispanic. In 2016,
Facts. You got the Latinos for Trump. You know what I mean?
Hillary Clinton won it by 60 points. In 2024, Trump won it, the first Republican presidential candidate to do it in over a century. Dearborn, Michigan, America's largest Arab majority city. Trump won that too. And nationally, 48% of Latino voters, up from 36 in 2020 and 28 in 2016. And among Latino men, he won outright. He won 15% of black voters, nearly double the share in 2020. On the famous map of shifts from 2020 to 2024, the arrows pointing right are the biggest in the Bronx, in Queens, in immigrant neighborhoods of Chicago and Houston. And so here's the uncomfortable symmetry of it. The 2016 map, whitest counties swinging hardest, looked like evidence of a racial story. In the 2024 map, the most diverse counties in America swinging right, while voters said prices and the border looks like evidence of an economic one. It's the same candidate, rhetoric if anything harsher, but opposite maps. So which is it? Are the 2016 studies wrong? Are millions of Latino and black voters voting for racism against themselves? Or is something wrong with how we've been asking the question? I think it's the last one. It's time to inspect the measuring device itself.
me say it one more time. America is not a racist country.
Lies. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, let's go back to card 3 and the 4-statement scale that measures it. For decades, it's been the standard scientific instrument for detecting racism in politics. But there's one problem. Political scientists aren't sure what it actually detects. A few years ago, 2 Harvard researchers ran a beautifully simple experiment. They took the scale statements and swapped the group. Instead of asking whether Black Americans should overcome disadvantage without special favors, they asked it about Lithuanians, a group nobody in America has very strong feelings about. If the scale measures racial animus, changing the group should change the answer. It barely did. Conservative answered almost identically about Lithuanians and African Americans.
So boom, what it sounds like to me is that a lot of Trump voters don't care about like racism, bro. They don't care about racism, which to me and a lot of people makes them racist. But a lot of them don't care about racism. In America's racist past, they just want you to, look past it and, pick yourselves up by your bootstraps. That's like the thing. Like, it's not really racism anymore. I feel like the modern day conservative or whatever is looking past racism, even though a ton of them are still racist. If you look at how they talk about, minorities, black people, and other people, they are racist. Just like, it's like hard to tell, like polling numbers and whatever, whether or not they're racist. Go talk to them. They are racist people for the most part. They don't mind saying the N-word or, being prejudiced towards black people. But when it comes down to them when you ask them like political questions or whatever, they don't say, hey, I don't like black people. They say, yeah, you should pick yourselves up by your bootstraps. Whatever happened in the past, slavery, segregation, redlining, this and that, forget about all of that and, pick yourselves up by your bootstrap, bro. Get right. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's what they be thinking. They're indifferent towards racism, which makes them racist, but they're like super indifferent and, they just want you to like not care about it because they also don't care about it.
Which suggests the scale may be capturing something else. A general belief that nobody should get special treatment and that hard work explains outcomes. Okay, you may be seeing the picture now and the circularity of it all. Conservative-leaning voters score high on a scale that partly measures conservative...
Doesn't that not make any sense either? Nobody should get special treatment. Like, if I get special treatment, you should get special treatment. Like, if I believe in me getting special treatment, that's tailored to my experience. So, like, black people getting, reparations or whatever, that's tailored to, like, their struggles in America. Oh, we were kept away from buying houses. Okay, so it should be easier for us to be able to buy houses and this and that. If farmers are struggling, in the middle of the country, they should be able to get, government assistance based off, whatever they need or whatever. Like, if I'm able to get special treatment, I also believe other people should get special treatment. And guess what happens? We all end up doing better because of it. What? Isn't that crazy? But they don't want that because that means other people also benefit from it.
Beliefs.
That people that they don't like, whether that's black people, whether that's women folk, whether that's, gay folk, transgender people that they traditionally do not like or care about. They don't want them to have help.
And their votes for a conservative then gets reported as racial resentment predicting Trump's support. Some of that is real signals. Studies using explicit measures do find genuine animus in a slice of the electorate. There is no denying that. That's cards 1 and 2, and they're not empty. But part of it is the instrument measuring ideology, and then calling it card 2. So in other words, science isn't even sure you can use card 3 on this spectrum at all. And the problem is the 2016 studies all run through the data of card 3. So let's do what I promised and really go back to this board. Cards 1 and 2, open racism and animus, a real slice of the electorate, although a minority, does live here. Surveys and experiments do confirm it. This slice of the electorate has long existed before 2016. What about card 3, resentment? This is where the most famous studies put the strongest 2016 correlation. But after the Lithuanians experiment, we genuinely don't know how much of this card is about race and how much of it is about political ideology. The most cited evidence sits on the most contested card. And cards 4 and 5, this is where the deciders were. The moderates, whose switch actually elected him, the 6 to 9 million Obama-Trump voters, and by 2024, millions of Latino, Black, and Arab American voters.
How many of you voted for President Obama during at least one of the elections? Great, all of you. How many of you voted for President Trump? This is what I think is fascinating.
Now, where does racism stop? After card 1? After card 2, after card 3, 4 even? Here's the honest answer. That's not a scientific question. Science can place people on this board, but it can't tell you where that word begins. That's a moral judgment. And it's the actual thing my comment section has been fighting about all along. Using the same word for different cards. And again, don't misconstrue this. I'm not saying that racism in America doesn't exist, but the way we talk about it has to be more defined. So, both sides of my comments are holding half the truth. The attitudes on this board are real, measured, and unevenly spread. The verdict, whether Trump voters are racist or not, really just depends on the line the evidence can't draw for you. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe so you don't miss any more videos, and tell me in
my opinion. Let me go back to the board, okay? If you exist on this here spectrum, let me, where the freak is it
Where
at?
does racism stop after card?
Right here.
This is what I think is fascinating.
Now, where does racism stop after?
Give me here, okay. Besides less racist, because the way he freaking depicted it, I think is stupid. If you're on this spectrum, though, more racist or less racist, forget how it's represented here. If you're on this list, more racist or less racist, guess what? You are racist. Trump supporters and Trump voters aren't just racist, they're also dumb. They are bigots. More than likely. A lot of them are bigots. If they don't care about the economy all that much, guess what they care about? The social politics of Donald Trump, which is a bigoted group of people. So they might not be racist, but they're definitely mostly all bigots, is my opinion. That's how I break it down. That's how I see it. And it makes the most sense to me that there are bigoted people. And it just so happens that a lot of them, for some reason, are fairly indifferent to racism, even though being indifferent to racism is still being complicit in racism in America.